So if we cut to the chase, if what we're hearing is all true, okay, and this is still allegedly at this point, but if what we hear is true, he threw the fight. That's what we're saying here, right? He throws the fight. It was known going into that, and that's why people were throwing a ton of money on him. Number one, I'd be very interested to know what the amount of money is to trigger a sportsbook to go, whoa, this is unusual activity. I wonder how much it must be a crazy spike as opposed to the normal kind of activity.
There was like I think it was $1 million bets were coming in for a first round submission. I believe that's what, because a bunch of it, I mean, everyone was talking about it. I think a bunch of
big bets were coming in for first round finish.
Yes.
Whether it was submission or, which is, I don't know. I'm not accusing this kid of throwing the fight at all. I'm thinking maybe somebody in his camp like knew he had an injury, or I don't know, or someone maybe seen something in the back. But you can't. I'm not accusing him because, bro, like that's a federal fucking prison.
Yo,
you're going to federal prison, and I know he's probably already going to be getting investigated.
Probably about 1 o'clock that day, we're with a company called IC360, and they are the best bet monitoring company in the business. And they reached out to us and they told us that there was some unusual action going on with that fight. Do we know anything? You know, we didn't. So what we did was we called the fighter and his lawyer and said, what's going on? There's some weird action going on in your bet, weird betting action going on in your fight. Are you injured? Do you owe anybody money? Has anybody approached you to, you know, and the kid said, no, absolutely not. I'm going to kill this guy. And, you know, so we said, okay. The fight plays out, and first round finish by rear naked choke. Literally, the first thing we did was call the FBI.
I was with my friend who gambles, right? Gambles on all this stuff, right? Loves to do the online betting, DraftKings, all that stuff. Nothing crazy, but always putting something on these kind of fights. And we watch the fights together all the time. Before that fight started, he was telling me, I'm hearing to bet Del Valle round one.
Really?
He said, and at first he was like, I heard maybe there's an injury or something like that. Well, I don't think it was an injury. I think it was exactly what we're suspecting, that it could be something shady seems to have gone on there. When money lines go like that, it isn't for no reason.
But basically what's odd when you have that line movement is that there's always a point of resistance, right? So bettors are betting because they have an edge, right? They say, you know, whatever, it's Bills plus 2.5. They think the line should be +3. There's value other way, but they think there's value on that specific line. But once you get to a point, there isn't value, right? They're going to stop betting it. On this specific thing, bettors are just betting the underdog, and they're continually betting the underdog. And that's why the line keeps moving, and they're still betting the underdog, and no one is coming in on the other side. And that's where the suspicions start to get raised.
In real time, there was loads of people on social media talking about betting lines connected to this fight, right? Now, his betting line started to drop dramatically about 24 hours before this contest, to the state where so many people were piling in and betting on him losing in the first round. What happens? He ends up losing in the first round. So there's an investigation, I believe, going in to that scenario.
Last Saturday, I saw one of the weirdest fights that I've seen in a long time. Now, let me tell you why it was weird. I'm watching Isaac Dulgarian last weekend fight. He's defending a rear naked choke, right? But he's taking off the hand that goes behind the head. He peels it. But once he peels it, he never takes this hand to go up and try to attack the other hand. So he's fighting the hand that's behind the head, but leaving the one that's actually choking him.
And when I was watching it, you know, he had his back taken and he wasn't doing any of the positional escapes, meaning he wasn't trying to readjust his hips or misalign his shoulders with that of the chest of Del Valle. And it seemed like he really was like fighting, but not actually trying to get out of the position, if that makes sense. So either it was like, you know, peak meathead stuff, or there's some fishy stuff going on. Because if you're in a rear naked choke, like everybody knows that. This is, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu basics. You get the damn things that are trying to do the choke, and you get them out of the way. Right. And he wasn't even fighting the choke. I don't understand how you can get into that level in the UFC and not know to fight hands. Exactly. And that's what was so kind of fishy about it.
Now, I have talked to multiple people who have known Isaac for a long time and who have trained with Isaac and who have heard about training sessions. And I have been told that in the gym, he goes up against some of the best fighters in the world. Some of the best fighters in the world, the Yusuf Salals of the world, the Corey Sandhagens of the world, like some of the top guys in that area, in the Denver area. And not only does he go toe-to-toe, but sometimes gets the better of them. And I've been told that he is an absolute stud. And those same people had the same reaction that Daniel Cormier had the same reaction that Michael Chiesa had, which was, what the hell was going on? What was that?
And then I had people in my comment section after my recap video saying, I DM'd Isaac a few fights ago saying, hey, I bet on you, good luck. And his response to me was, you better give me 10%. And maybe that's just sarcasm, whatever, but betting and gambling and the money is very front of mind for him, which is just making it even more suspicious. But I will not accuse him of fixing fight.
You got to scream from the rooftops that you're innocent. And as the mixed martial arts athlete, say that other people just don't know what they're talking about. And that guy was strong as a bull, which he is, right? You got to be saying all of those things. And I'm not necessarily hearing those things from Isaac Dulgarian, who has already been cut from the UFC.
So this is what I was going to get to here, right? So he's 7-2 now. He was 7-1. He had one loss in the UFC to Christian Rodriguez by a split decision. He beat Francis Marshall, who's not an easy guy to beat. He beat him impressively in the first round. Loses a split, comes back, beats Brandon Marotte, chokes him out in the second round. Really talented wrestler, very good fighter, young guy at the start of his career, and he has blown it. He has thrown all of that away.
The round one finish on someone in Dulgarian, who every fight he's been in, he's either won in round one or even in the loss to Christian Rodriguez, had a 10-8 scorecard in his favor. All of a sudden, the guy doesn't know how to defend a rear naked choke, starts punching, Jiu-Jitsu 101, you guys said it on the broadcast. The money was pouring in, and who picked it up was the gambling community on Twitter. Every MMA gambler you could think of with any type of name or following, we all talked about it. We said, this is getting nuts right now. Is there an injury leak? What is going on? Because that number just kept going down to the point where Dulgarian was a -105 when the fight started.
I can understand a guy like Dulgarian's situation, right? Like, you come into the UFC, you probably get 10-10. You win your first fight. You look spectacular. I don't even know if he got a bonus. Okay, he doesn't get a bonus. So now you get 20 grand. You got to pay your coaches. You got to pay your training partners. You got to pay for the whole camp just to get to the fight. Medicals and all that. You got to pay for those too. Food, nutrition, all these stuff you got to pay for. Okay. So now you put yourself in this situation. Now you're looking at it like, okay, now he probably got 12-12 for his second fight. And now for his third fight, he probably got 14-14. He loses one fight, so he only gets half his paycheck. Now he's in a situation where he's probably thinking, someone comes up to him, holy shit, this is more than all the money I've made combined up until this point. I can understand the logic behind that, right? But also the integrity side of it as an athlete, as a fighter, and as a man is I mean, maybe there's something to be said. It's like, as a man, you're looking to provide for your family, so you're going to do what you got to do.
And I think what is happening here, adding 1 + 1 + 1, I believe what is happening here is people are preying on lower level fighters who don't make a lot of money, who are in tough spots, who are fighting in the major leagues, and they're offering them a quick fix. They're not going to like the top dogs, but they're offering a quick fix to the lower level fighters.
As fighters, every now and then they take account and they do take the road of least resistance. I just didn't see it being that kind of a battle. It looked almost like a cooperation. One thing with professional wrestling, I don't like it when people say professional wrestling is fake. Whether it is or not, I just don't like the word. I like it when they say there's a cooperation. I like when they know MMA is a competition and the other they are performing, they are cooperating and helping one another. That looked like they were cooperating. And that's all I can say. As for what happened, I think that you did the X's and O's. As for how I perceived what happened, it looked like a cooperation.
Dulgarian, even during fight week, was suggesting to MMA Junkie that the fighters essentially who win should get a cut of the winning, a percentage of the winning bets that are made on them. So it's not like he's not aware of, like, you know, sort of the market economy around this and how it all works. But you know, the question about pay is, folks are like, well, if they don't make enough, then it could potentially heighten the degree to which they would be interested in engaging in conduct like this. I'm sympathetic to the argument. I mean, if there's a big problem in MMA today, fighter pay is a big part of it. At the same time, though, that doesn't necessarily preclude people from engaging in these kinds of activities.
If they find out there was a literal fix, like somebody took a dive, federal prison, like big time arrested, and everybody who knew about it. If it wasn't a fix, but it was an injury leaked, there's nothing illegal about fighting injured and people finding out about it. That's not illegal.
All speculation. We know nothing. I'm sure it'll be investigated, but even crazier, just to make it crazier, the fact that, you know who his head coach used to be?
James Krause.
What the? Like, that just is icing on the cake for everyone to start looking. So even if it wasn't, the fact that you're now involved in this controversy and that's the gym that you've come from, it's just not a great look. Even if that has nothing to do with any of this, it doesn't help the situation whatsoever.
If you try to do this, I've been very vocal and very open about this. We will be your worst enemy. We will immediately go after you, guns a-blazing, with the FBI and whoever else we need to get. And we will do everything we can to make sure you go to prison.
There's no reason that fight should have happened, in my opinion. If the UFC had wind of this, they should have just canceled that fight. It is not worth the risk, because as you kind of started to lay out, and I believe very strongly, this cast a shadow on the sport of MMA. This cast a shadow on the UFC, if any of this is proven to be true, right?
I think you could make that case. You could also make the case that it just came to light, and the fact it did go exactly how the money showed and how it looked like all these bets were kind of, and especially like you said, I'm not a UFC reporter, whether they talked to him beforehand and talked to both sides, like, you have then no kind of benefit of the doubt if you were warned beforehand.
Betting is insane right now across the NBA. Let's go Chauncey Billups. Let's go, Terry Frazier, like all these other like that are going through it right now because of what's going on with the gambling, running high-stake poker games, all this other stuff. And then there was all this talk about the Chiefs last year and and the refs and all this other stuff. And we've had before in the NBA with refs, basically betting on games. You don't want fighting to end up in that same situation. The James Krause situation was a disaster for our sport. We don't want to end up there. We don't want to be that sport.
There's a lot of fights where you find yourself as a fight fan going, what the actual fuck is this guy doing? Why is he shooting those takedowns? Why is the wrestler not shooting any takedowns? Why would he not shoot for a takedown in this fucking fight? Then the wrestler loses, or the grappler loses because he never fucking shot a takedown and struck with the striker. Or a striker's got his opportunity on the feet and it's time for finishing in the third round, and all of a sudden it's time to push the guy up against the cage. This happens often in fights. I'm not saying they're all rigged because of it. I was having some fun hypotheticals. You can't fake running slower than you've ever ran before in the NFL. It's hard to do. He's taking it easy, something's going on here. But UFC might be ripe for this.
There's already a camp of people that feel it's fixed, right? Anytime a favorite loses, there's an entire camp of people that are like, these fights are fixed. Once those people become the majority, the sport lost all its integrity. You no longer watch it as a fan. You no longer watch it like, I can't wait to see who wins, because in your head, you're like, it's fixed anyway. Who gives a shit? And you end up with the WWE.
This is not an isolated incident. And what I mean by that is, I have talked to multiple people who have either experienced or know of others who experienced situations where they have been approached about their willingness to do something like this. So I have been told by multiple people that they have been approached, they have been talked to and said, are you interested in this? Are you interested in throwing a fight for X amount of dollars?
It's like, you're seeing things out on the internet where like fighters are coming out and going, oh, I was approached. Really? Why didn't you tell us that? Or more importantly, why didn't you tell law enforcement that you were approached? Now you're saying that you were approached? It's like if somebody comes up and says, hey, I want you to rob a bank. I'm going to rob banks. Want to rob a bank with me? And you don't do it. What, you're not gonna tell law enforcement? It's really weird that fighters are coming out now saying they were approached. And they're going to be approached now by the FBI.